have to be quiet. It's past midnight here. We know what happens at midnight. All kinds of creepy things happen. So I thought I'd give you guys, I know it's past Sunday, but, I have found another fairy tale. Ooh, my goodness. Here, I'm going to move this over so that I don't fuck with it. We'll move this up. That's perfect. It's getting close to Halloween. And we're going to be telling the story of the devil and his grandmother. So you see, the setting is that there was a king, and he didn't pay his soldiers a lot of money. In fact, because of that, 3 of them decided to desert. And of course, they said that, once we desert, we're going to be hung. So how will we go about doing this, We're going to face the guillotine. We're going to have their heads cut off. So they spied a cornfield next door, and they crept on over into it, and they said, we can hide out there, for they're not allowed to enter into the cornfield. And tomorrow they'll take off, and we'll be free. Well, the next day came. They stayed in there for 2 days and 2 nights, is what it says. I'm pretty sure that number's wrong. It's supposed to be 3 days and 3 nights. But it's just a change. These stories are very old. Alright? But anyways, only because the numbers don't work with it. Otherwise, it's perfect. Alright, so anyways, the soldiers stayed in the cornfield for 2 days, 2 nights. And the soldiers never left. And they just about died in there. Starvation. Or by exposing themselves, coming out, and having to face the guillotine. And about that same time, a red dragon came flying in, swooped down to him and asked him, what are they doing there? What have you done? Why are you concealing yourselves? And of course they told them all about that they just didn't make the money. They were deserting the army, And they said, the devil says, if you guys serve me for 7 years, I'll save you from this army. Well, they felt like they were compelled, so they had to do it, They just, I'm up against death here. And they promised to give them a little whip at the same time. So, for them to be able to make all the money that they wanted. And thought about it and said, wow, that'd be pretty cool. So anyways, the devil swooped down. The devil presented them with a book for them to sign. They all signed their names. And he swooped down, picked them up in their claws, and took them through the army without the army noticing that they had gone through, and set them down in an open field close by. So anyways, he told them, that he would be back again in 7 years to claim his prize, and that if they were to get out of it in any way, they'd have to answer a question, or answer a riddle of some kind. And that riddle was that, when I come and get you, I'm going to take you for a feast. You're supposed to guess what the roast beef is going to be, and how you're going to eat, what you're going to be using as a spoon, and what are you going to be using as a cup. And of course, 2 of the guys grieved over this, but one of the guys says, I'm not afraid, I can make it. So one night they're out there before the 7 years are up. At one evening they went out into the open, and 2 put on such grievous faces, and the one was told, an old woman showed up. An old woman came walking in and says, why you put on such a grievous face? What's going on? And so they went about telling her about how they have to serve the devil, and how the devil gave them this whip and all this stuff. And after the end of 7 years, he was going to come and take them into hell with him. And so she says, well, what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to go one of you is going to have to go. Let's see if I've got that written down. Yeah. She says, if you want to be saved, one of you will have to go into a forest where he will come to a fallen rock, which looks like a little house. He must enter that, and then he will obtain help. So as he gets to this place, the third guy is the one who decides that it's going to be him that goes to this house. He traipses off into the woods, and he finds this little old woman inside the house, and finds out that it is the devil's grandmother. All right. She asked him what he was doing and what he wanted for, and she was so pleased by his manner. She said that she would help. She goes, listen, when he comes home tonight, he's going to tell me everything, because he does tell me everything, anything I want to know. I'm going to hide you down to the cellar where you can hear everything, but you cannot move, you cannot stir. And so she hid him away. And around 12 o'clock, the demon, the devil, showed up for his meal. And while he was there, the woman was chatting with him and asking him different things, and said, "How was your day?" And he says, "Oh, I caught me 3 soldiers today." So it's kind of strange. They said, "Caught them today," but anyways. She says, "Oh yeah, but they'll certainly escape you, they will." And he says, "Oh no, they won't. I have made a riddle for them that they will never be able to get." And she asked him, "What was that riddle about?" She says, "Well, the way it's gonna go is if I told them that I was gonna make them a meal. I was gonna drag them off into hell, and I'm gonna give them a meal. What's that meal gonna be?" And so she goes, "And what would that meal be?" And so he says, let me see if I can find this real fast. All right. He says, "In the great North Sea, there is a dead dogfish. That shall be your roast meat. And a rib of a whale shall be your silver spoon. And a hollowed old horse hoof shall be your wine glass." This will be the answers to the riddle. Alright, so he ate and got his good fill of food and went on about falling asleep. And then, of course, this soldier had to sneak out the window and out the back way in order to get home and away from this place. So anyways, as it worked, he says, let me see, I think we're going good. We got the same thing going. When, let's see here, man in which the cellar, and it came from, yeah, okay, so what happens next is, the 7 years, the guy runs back to his buddies, tells them all about this. "I've got the idea, I know what we're going to do." And they were still real afraid about it, but at the same time they said, "Hey, we got our idea. We know what we can do now to beat the devil." All right. So at the end of those 7 years, the devil came calling. And the devil asked the first question he asked him. He says, "So I'm going to drag you off to hell. What's going to be the meal? And the first guy said, "Well, in the great sea, there's a dead dogfish. That's going to be our meal." The devil was just dismayed by all this, and he grunted. Okay. And so then this is going to be your roast meat. What's going to be your spoon? How are you going to serve it? And the second one said, "Well, that's going to be the whale bone. Is going to be our spoon." Said the devil, and he asked the third one, says, "And what are you going to drink from?" And the guy says, "An old hollowed out horse hoof." The devil got mad and stormed away, and he had lost all control over these guys. And because of that, they were able to keep their whip, and they lived happily ever after. All right. So that story is pretty old. It's the shorter of the stories, but it still contains the code. The thing that what was different was I've never heard anything being laid for 2 days and 2 nights, because it doesn't work that way. It has to be 3 days and 3 nights, because that's 6. That's when they get hungry and they have to go into that room to eat, and that's what that's about. That it was the devil that came in on that 6th chakra, just like he did with the other fairy tale story where the farmer sold the devil while he was in the middle of the woods chopping wood. He sold what was standing behind the mill, and he thought he was giving away his old, what was it, an apple tree at that time, or a pear tree, some kind of a tree. And it wound up being his daughter instead. And she was to be given up after 3 years. 3 years, 1, 2, 3, and then she's, 1, 2, 3, and then she's either going to be free or she is going to be mine. And of course, this is the same kind of story, except we're looking at this 3 guys. 2 are obviously submissive, and then the other one is the one that's doing all of the movement. He's the messenger between these guys. All right. So you'll see that story is still the same. It's got the same little room that you find where you go to get some help. And of course, she tells him what to do to get past this particular help. And if you listen closely to the 3 that allowed him to escape his wrath, all right, which would be the moon phase, or the 1, 2, 3 to the gold. So, but you have to understand that at the end it's the horses that come and we drink from something, so we're drinking from the hollowed out horse's hoof, right? But that's the 3rd phase. That's the last of it. But what was the first part? The meat. What was going to be your meat? All right. And shoot, it says what was going to be your roast meat. It was going to be in the Great North Sea lies a dead dog fish. All right. Now I'm not sure what a dogfish is, but I know dogs. In our situation, dogs are usually the messenger, and we're talking about the Great North Sea. So this is coming from the north. This is lies a dead dog fish. I'm almost certain that this has to do, with it's the first part of us that would be like the brass, or we're supposed to go from, what is it? We're supposed to go from brass. We go into the moon, which is silver, and that's how we're served. That's how we're served, because that's the waxing phase of the movement. We're changing, and then we are host and drinking and eating, supping with the Lord on the 3rd side of that. So I'm pretty sure that's how that 1, 2, 3 goes about. But those symbols could have been changed through time. But that's why you're going to use it as your wine glass, And I know that in most of the stories, that wine glass, that's the cup that the gods drinks from. This is the idea of this is your left side of your mind, goes from from brass or something else to silver. Silver is what he drinks from. This is the idea that of the Technicolor Dreamcoat, the guy that can stir and read into the cup and stuff like that. This is the whole idea about this is where Lord sups from. And of course that sets you free from the devil, because it's the 1, 2, 3 connection to God. It takes the, what would it be, a dead dog fish. That would be like, that has to be like number 1. That would have to be like from the Great North, That's your sacrifice. Would that be? You know, a rib from the whalebone. I get that one because that actually winds up looking like a quarter moon, right? That's your idea of the spoon and how you're going to be serving this. And the hoof. I got that. But it's somewhere in there. That code is in there. But I also want to do this for Halloween. It's something kind of scary. But it's just fun. It also sounds kind of like the Jack and the Beanstalk story, where Jack sneaks up there and goes up and sees the giant's wife, befriends the wife. The wife hides him off to the side, and while he's gone, he runs off. He's talking. The wife and the husband are talking for a while, and while he's napping, he runs off with the goodies and stuff like that. So it's along those lines of I think Rumpelstiltskin is one of those stories too. It's a trick that if you could find out his name, you're free. So you'll find that there's a lot of trickery involved in losing this balancing this balancing mechanism within ourselves. All right, I mean, right on down to fun little stories like this. This is I'm almost sure that I've never heard of 2 days and 2 nights as a symbolic number, but 3 days and 3 nights is the 6, because they start talking about being there between death, starvation, or starvation and immediate death if they were to pop their heads outside of the cornfield. So you'll see that that's the middle. They're on their way. They're middle, and then right between there, the devil shows up. All right, and so that's the way the stories go. That's the way they go. So I'm just doing a little correcting along the way. I'm hardly the guy who makes up these stories, but I can tell whenever something's gone awry in them, because the numbers just don't add up. But the system, the code is there. The code is there. All right. Good night, you guys. I'll chat with you soon. I promise.